It's a huge pleasure to meet Péter Kerekes and to talk about his wonderful film, 107 Mothers. Hi, Péter, nice to meet you.
Hello, Christina, nice to see you.
Talk us through how this film actually became what it finally became, because I know in the very beginning, it was a documentary project. You met Irina, you wanted to make a documentary film about censors, and in the end, we get this film. So what happened and what made you leave the sole documentary approach?
Yeah, I think this is the big advantage on an unprofessional production, because we originally started a quite huge documentary project about different censors in the world. Let's say about censors with human face, because I think that censorship will come in this century completely automatic, so there will be nobody that you can argue with. So we wanted to film the last real human censors. And I was not interested in political censorship because I'm not brave enough to do political films. And I was interested in non-political censorship. And one part of this was the censors in the prison, people that are reading the letters of the prisoners. And it's also interesting because this is something that we all agree that this censorship is basically important.
Yeah.
And we did a huge research, and big part of the research was done in Ukraine because it's so complicated to film in prisons in European Union. So we decided to go to Ukraine. And there we found Irina Kiryazeva. And she's an operational officer. And one part of her job is to read the letters, so to do the censorship. And she was amazing. And we decided to build a film around her because she was a very interesting personality. She was an operational officer in a female prison, and she was every minute different. So to one prisoners, she was very kind and nice, like a mother. To the otherwise, she was really very strict and cold. And I said, this is a natural born actress. If she can be like this in front of the camera, you know, she can change her face in the middle of the frame, you know, without editing. And we decided to film with her. And then we were getting deeper and deeper to the female prison, where are women with children up to the age of 3 years. And when their sentence is longer and the baby is 3 years old, when they have the birthday, they have to leave the prison. And unfortunately, usually they are going to the orphanage.
Would you agree to my sentiments that combining documentary and fiction in this film actually makes the film and the stories more authentic? Because that's what I feel when I watch it. It's even truer because you use fiction, which sounds very paradox.
Yes, it's I call it the carnival paradox, because when we told to this woman, because nearly all the women in the film, they are real prisoners or real workers in the prison, except the main character, Lesa. She's an actress, but most of the others are real prisoners. But when I told them that this is a fiction, they were completely free to show themselves because they had some kind of alibi. They said, okay, this is a game, so nobody will judge me that I'm telling like the documentary truth. So basically the fiction gave them a mask, like in a carnival. And basically with this mask, you can be much more authentic than in a Christmas party of your company.
Well, in the beginning, at some point, even at the Christmas party, you become yourself. I've read, or I think I've heard that before you started shooting, you said that there were like 10 cliches of the prison film that you wanted to avoid. What are these cliches of the prison film that you didn't show?
Yes, at the beginning, I even didn't want to film in the prison. You know, I said there are so many prison films, but then this story, and especially the way how these women were speaking, was so interesting for me, especially because most of them were sentenced because they killed their partners or husbands because of jealousy. I was very curious to know more about this very dangerous border between love and death. But back to your question, the cliche, you know, like no bars, no guards with long sticks beating the prisoners, no naked woman in the shower,
Yes.
no hysterical scenes, no fights in the prison, and no sex scenes. And this, so this was, of course, this is everything happening in the prison, but it's the same like in normal life, you know, it's just a small percentage. The most time of the prison is just boring nothing. And this is the biggest punishment.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's a very female film. We only see women. The topics are very female too, motherhood above all. Did you feel at some points, this is, as far as I can tell, this story as a male filmmaker?
Yes, this is also one part of the cliche, you know, a man in a female prison.
Yeah.
To be honest, in the beginning, I was not thinking about it at all, because the curiosity was so big. And I think even the curiosity of listening their stories was even bigger than my wish to make this film. So I made this film because I was curious why they are there and why they killed their husbands and partners and so. And I think we opened such a intensive relationship that is maybe possible only between man and woman. I think that because I still, you know, I'm there is a difference. I don't have the same problems as they have, and that's why they could describe me everything. You know, it's like you are describing to a foreigner from completely different continent, your country. You try to tell it more clear, and I think the audience would not get it if they would say it to a female director, because it would be like, oh, you know this, and you understand me. And because I didn't understand them, they had to describe everything.
I know that you are, I'm not sure whether I can say a big fan, but I know that you appreciate Ulrich Seidel a lot, the filmmaker. Have you included some of the things that you actually really appreciate about Ulrich Seidel's filmmaking into 107 Mothers?
What I really love in Ulrich Seidel is the way how he captures the reality. Like he really just take the most important thing, how he's working with non-actors, and basically this style, and especially the cinematic style. Ed Lachman maybe was a very strong influence for my cinematographer and me. So these were the most important influences.
Can you tell me a bit more about your work with your cinematographer? I think it's Martin, right? Martin Koller. Because I mean, the film is beautiful and has a very, very specific look to it. How did you work together? What were your directions?
Yeah. Martin Koller doesn't like to make films. Martin Koller is a genius photographer. And he's making films with just a few directors. And he must be absolutely sure that the topic is really interesting for him. And how we create the things, we are working together 25 years, but we are working a lot with different references, film references, book references, photographic references. And we have a big struggle because Martin is a perfectionist. So he tried to make a perfect image.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, he hates everything what is artificial. and it really takes so long to arrange the things that they will not look artificial,
Mm-hmm.
make all the imperfections. And I hate so-called acting in front of the camera. And I love when the people in front of the camera are really very natural. So it's really a hard compromise to make a very artificial environment, but inside of this environment, and this is my job as a director, to make the actors absolutely safe. Mm-hmm. So they really forget about the camera, they really forget about everything. And during this movie, we had the most absurd situations. The woman was confessing her really most deep emotions, talking to me. Mm-hmm. In the editing, we changed myself for Irina, but she was really talking to me. And around there were 8 male foreigners watching her, the cinematographer, camera assistant, 2 sound people, and so on. So basically, Martin is preparing the image, and I try to have a really very deep connection with the actors.
Mm-hmm. I know that you weren't able to show the film to all the women who are featured in the film, the real women. And I know that they're not in the same prison anymore together, right? So do you plan on showing the film to those women, or how can that be done?
Yeah, we were dreaming about making the premiere not in a big festival, but in the prison of Odessa. Yes. Like a red carpet and everything. But the prison is closed. Mm-hmm. And the women are scattered around Ukraine. And my Ukrainian producer, Denis Ivanov, had a genius idea. Let's make a tour in Ukrainian prisons. So we will find our prisoners in different mm-hmm. places, and we will be able to show the film. So I hope next year, when the pandemic will be over and it will be safe, it's funny to say this word, it will be safe to be in a prison. But when it will be safe to be in a prison, we will show the movie also to them.
I mean, since you're such an acclaimed documentary filmmaker, and this is your first step into fiction, what's your future going to look like? Is it more documentaries? Is it going to be a mixture or full fiction? What are your plans?
Actually, it's very funny because I'm working, I had to stop working because of the pandemic on 3 movies slowly. And one is a full documentary, classical documentary about the marathon race in Košice, in my native town. Mm-hmm. Second is again film about females. Mm-hmm. It's about a fortune teller in Italy, and it's called Wishing on a Star. And it will be a little bit half documentary, half fiction. Mm-hmm. And maybe in the future I will make a 90% fiction film.
And I have one last question for probably people are watching who want to know how to make films. And you show such intimate scenes, such sensitive things, like a natural, like a real birth. Do you have any advice how to film that?
Time. Wim Wenders, in his wonderful movie, So Far, So Close, there is a wonderful opening scene, a very long traveling shot, and there is a graffiti and on the wall, and it's written Zeit ist Kunst. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the most important thing. You need a lot of time, and then you can establish the relationship, and the people love to confess, so they will take part in anything in the movie.
So congratulations on the beautiful outcome of your time and your patience and your talent and your wonderful crew, Peter. It's a pleasure to have you with us at the festival, unfortunately not in person, but hopefully we'll meet soon in real life.
I hope to. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the interview.
Thank you, Peter Kerekes, and thank you for 107 Mothers.
Thanks.